as long as you've been knowing yourself, you've been a queer?
There's been signs of it ever since I was young,
And
even if I denied it. And I'd rather be honest with myself.
And that's why you think that God did it?
Yeah.
Amazing. God didn't do that.
Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
I may not know my flaws, but I do know God did not make queers.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a video from this Christian who's confronted by this particular person, and the way it unfolds and ends is quite unexpected. I'll be giving my insights along the way. Let's jump in and watch.
You say you participate with the LGBT and all that stuff?
Yes.
I read, and I almost don't want to ask you this, but I think I read that you call yourself a queer.
Yeah.
You call yourself a queer?
Yeah.
What's a queer?
Just somebody who falls under the LGBTQ plus label, generally. I don't like to use words like gay or bi or any of that because I've tried to use those labels and I don't really like them because they've been extremely constricting, and so I've thought like, hey, I'm 20, I'm just going to use this label because I do know that I have an attraction to men, and but I also seem to have an attraction to women, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly where I lie, so it's an easy catch-all term.
And so a queer is having the attraction to both male and female?
Well, it can mean any number of things. I'm telling you who I'm attracted to, but queer could be basically anyone who falls under an LGBTQ plus label.
Would you rather that the world know about you, that you are a Christian or you're a queer?
I guess Christian.
So why would you put it out there that you're a queer instead of just being a Christian?
Well, I'm not keeping private either of the information.
But what's the purpose of putting it out there that you're a queer? What's the purpose of saying that to the public?
Well, because I like to have my dating options open.
What? So you would put your business out in the street because you want to have your dating options open?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I see a guy, if I wanted to date them, or if the guy was also gay or bi or something, they would need to know that I'm queer before they would approach me and want to date me. If they think I'm straight, then they wouldn't know that.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Like if somebody didn't know you were single and they thought you were in a couple or married, then they wouldn't know that you're available.
And that would be fine.
Yeah, well, not if you're trying to find somebody to live your life with.
But you should never try to find someone to live your life with. You should only seek what's right, and then all things will be added.
Well, I think cute boys are right, so.
What?
Well, I think that the cute boys are right, so.
So, that is interesting. That is so interesting. But let me ask, is it right, I don't want to use the word right or wrong, which is best, to not be a queer or to be a queer?
What's best? I don't think there's any moral difference. I don't think there's a best or wrong. It's like asking me what's best, blue eyes or green eyes. It's like, well, I don't really think there's any moral difference whatsoever. Or what's
blue eyes
better.
are best.
Well, thank you. As somebody who has blue eyes, I appreciate it.
You have blue eyes?
Yeah, I do have blue eyes.
I have blue eyes too. Thank you. Blue eyes are best.
Thank you very much.
Blue eyes are more hated than green eyes.
Are they?
Yeah.
I've never received any hate for having blue eyes.
What do you think?
Well, I've gotten compliments for them, but I've never gotten hate for it.
Amazing. And so,
Telling the truth is never an act of hate. In fact, it's an expression of love and honesty. Even when others may not want to hear it, as followers of Christ, we are called to speak the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are. Even when it's difficult or even uncomfortable, it doesn't matter. Jesus himself was not hated because he was unkind or unjust. No, it's because he spoke the truth that challenged the world's beliefs and systems. In John 15 verse 18, Jesus Christ, he told us, if the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. This is a powerful reminder that we are not alone in facing rejection or persecution for standing up for what is right, ladies and gentlemen. Literally, Jesus experienced hatred, opposition because of the truth that he shared. Yes, and his followers too also face similar challenges. You see? So however, we should not be discouraged. Never. Instead, we can find comfort in knowing that we are walking in his footsteps.
What did I ask? What was the question I asked about?
It was about what's better to be.
Oh, to be a queer or not to be one?
Yeah, I don't think there's any difference.
Which is right?
What is right? I don't think there's anything right or wrong about either option.
Do you think God made queers?
Yes.
God made a queer.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Through his wisdom and power. I mean, he did. I mean, I'm here, so he did.
So how did he make is it a queer, how did he make that though? You know how he made the body and made the human being. How did he make a queer?
Are you asking me to explain God's wisdom to you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I cannot know. God's all powerful.
So how do you know God made you that way then?
How do I know he made me that way?
Yeah.
Because I am. It's like asking me how I know God made me with legs. I can see my legs.
Really? And so as long as you've been knowing yourself, you've been a queer?
There's been signs of it ever since I was young,
And that's why-
even if I denied it. And I'd rather be honest with myself.
And
not
that's
lie.
why you think that God did it?
Yeah.
Amazing. God didn't do that.
Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
I may not know my flaws,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know God did not make queers.
Really?
Right? God doesn't make mistakes.
Well, it's
He
not a
made-
mistake to be queer, though.
And being a queer is not who you are and what you do as a result of being turned away from your earthly father. So you're really out in the wilderness looking for peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're picking up these different spirits thinking that they're from God. But I totally understand it. But let me ask.
Well, then can I ask you a question, though?
Yes.
Well, if that's true, then why are boys so cute? Because if it's not right for me to feel these ways, then why are they so cute?
Because you have your mother's identity.
Really?
You have the mindset and emotions of a woman. You're not yourself.
How do you know that?
Because when you resent your mother, and in your case, she wasn't even around.
I don't resent my mother.
In your case, she wasn't even around to raise you, and then you resent your father. So you've been turned away from your father's identity, and you have your mother's identity, which is of the feminine nature. And so you think and feel like a female, and because no one has really explained to you that that's not who you are. You've grown up thinking that that's who you are, but that's not who you are. That's what you do.
That's very interesting because it sounded like at first you were saying I resented my mother, and if I would have said yes, then it would have been, well, you resent your mother, so that's why you're queer. But when I said I didn't, then it's, well, you resent your father.
No, you
and
do
since you
resent
resent
your
your
mother, too.
father, that's why you're queer. So it sounds like no matter what
you
path
do
you would have taken, it would have been an explanation.
You do resent your mother because she wasn't there for you. So
No,
you
I
can't help
don't.
but
I don't
her.
resent my mother. I understand why she wasn't there.
And you resent your father, but it's because of the resentment. You're born through your mother, so you're born in sin, right? And that's what has brought this idea on about being a queer. But that's not who you are.
Well, I think it's mostly just because boys are cute. I don't think it's really that complicated.
The world may reject truth, but we must remain steadfast in our commitment to it. Telling the truth is not an act of hatred, but it's an act of courage and faith, ladies and gentlemen. We speak truth in love, not to harm, but to bring understanding, healing, and light to the darkness. Yes, we do. Even in the face of opposition, we can trust that God is with us and He will give us the strength to stand firm. Why these people just want to be listened to but are not willing to listen? In reality, they are not asking for acceptance. No, they are not. They are demanding and forcing their sexuality on others as the primary focus. But under the guise of having superior, higher moral standards, they're expecting the government to impose laws to enforce their views. You see? And usually acceptance by society requires a level of assimilation to the accepted norms, not pointing out your differences, criticizing others who disagree with you, then expecting to be embraced by them. It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't.
And so that's amazing, man.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
And so which are you more proud of, being a queer or a Christian?
What am I more proud of? I've never really measured them against each other.
Which do you promote the most?
What do I
being
promote
a queer
the
or being
most?
a Christian?
I don't really promote it. I don't really promote being queer. I don't know, like, it's not like, hey, join the club. Like, I have, like, membership forms.
Right.
If you want, I could give you one of my membership forms. I can recruit you into the queers.
Which one do you promote?
Well, I
being
guess
a
it would-
Christian or being a queer?
I would say being a Christian, because anyone could be a Christian, not anyone could be a queer.
What do you mean anyone could be a Christian?
Anyone could come to God, but not anyone could just find men attractive.
Amazing. Interesting, man.
Like, do you find men
I know.
attractive? Do you find men attractive?
No.
You don't find them cute at all?
No.
Not their cute little dimples or anything? None of that?
Even the one with the blue eyes.
Even with the muscles? Even the muscly men? Well, then it looks like you can't be a queer, can you?
Even the one with the muscles.
Even the one with the muscles.
But you have a
you can't sell me
girlfriend,
on
right?
that. Yes, I do.
Are you able to talk about her for a minute?
I would rather not.
You would rather not mention
rather not
her
talk
color
about
or
her.
anything?
No, well, I mean, she's black. She's from Haiti. But
So you have a black girlfriend.
yes.
What is a guy with long hair, blue eyes, doing with a black woman from Haiti?
Well, I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. It's a majority black county. I'm very proud of the community, and I've never dated a white person in my life, and it's not because I don't like white people, or if I found someone that was white, maybe I didn't. There was an example when I was in high school. There was one other white person in my class, and that one white person was a woman, and I found out in my graduating semester she was actually my cousin. And so it just showed how few white people there were in my community, so it's not like a preference thing. It's more just, these are the people in my community, and so they're the
mostly
people
black?
yeah, they're mostly black, yeah.
And that's how you ended up with a black woman?
Yeah.
Is she your first black woman?
No, she's not.
Really?
I've
You know
never dated a white person.
You know that once you go black, you can't go back.
I can't? Well, then, I guess this is it then.
You're stuck.
Oh, I'm happy to be where I'm at.
Is she older than you or younger?
She's 3 years older.
You got an older black woman.
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
And you guys living together and all that?
Yes.
That's amazing. She had kids?
No, she does not.
Amazing. Do you want kids?
I do one day want kids, yes.
So you got a black woman from Haiti. You can find one in America?
Well, she has roots in Haiti. She was originally in America, but then went to Haiti, spent time in Haiti, then Canada, then back to America. It was like all the way around the world. Global.
Does she
Global.
do that voodoo stuff at home?
Does she do voodoo stuff at home? Well, she's put a curse on me. Besides that, no.
She put a curse on you?
Yeah, she's got me hooked.
Do you have, let me ask this. How do you deal with the hell in her when it comes out?
The hell in her?
Yeah.
What do you mean by the hell in her?
You know how sometimes when they wake up mad about nothing and complaining, you like, what the?
Mad about nothing?
Yeah, you happy?
I would say, if anything, usually that I'm more mad about nothing. There's some problem with maintenance or some other issue. I'm usually the one that gets madder sooner. I remember there was an example of somebody was parking in a parking spot, and I was very, very mad about it. And I was the one who went out and wanted to, like, let's call the tow truck company. And she was the one that was less confrontational. So if anything, I'm the one that's more mad.
You get angry more than your woman?
Probably, yeah.
Really? And so does she call you beta because you're more emotional than she is?
Oh yes. She greets me with hello, beta. She shakes my hand.
What is it like knowing that you're worse than your woman
That I'm worse than her?
Uh-huh.
I feel lucky.
when it comes to anger?
Well, I feel lucky to have somebody calm me down then.
Oh, yeah. Do you have perfect peace?
Do I have perfect peace?
Yes.
I don't know how to answer the question. What's perfect peace?
So do you have it?
Well, I'm asking you what it is.
If you had it, you would know what it is.
Well, then I must not have it then.
You must not have it?
If I don't know what the question is, I must not have it.
Right.
Do you have perfect peace?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I can honestly tell you, it's amazing.
This is the inevitable result when emotions clash with logic. Logic will always prevail in the end. Light always wins over darkness. However, emotions being driven by deep feelings and personal attachments often resist the rational truth, sanity. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean emotions by their very nature. They can cloud judgment and lead us or a person to act impulsively or irrationally. Yeah, that's the truth. When we allow our emotions to guide our decision making, they can override our ability to think clearly and assess situations logically. That's the danger. In a godless society, this dynamic is even more evident. People spiritually disconnected from the truth of God can become blinded by their emotions and worldly perspectives. The absence of a strong moral foundation rooted in faith leads to a hardening of the heart. And without guidance of God's wisdom, ladies and gentlemen, and understanding, individuals may become increasingly resistant to the truth, unable to see beyond their emotions and biases, and their hearts will grow hardened when it is not softened by the transformative power of God's love, God's word. You see? And this will lead to spiritual blindness. Literally. Ladies and gentlemen, in a society, individuals may become more consumed by their own feelings, whether anger, fear, or evil desires, rather than seeking clarity and wisdom that only logic and truth can provide. To sum up, the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ is an immensely positive and impactful act. It brings about personal transformation, spreads love, justice, hope, and truth. It aligns with God's commands, ladies and gentlemen. It offers eternal meaning, fills those who hear it with deep joy. Ultimately, it's the most precious gift humanity can receive, creating lasting change in both individuals and communities, reflecting God's heart and His purpose for the world, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click on the next one. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now.